here with LVX777. Today we're going to do a little bit of studying. Short video, but it occurred to me while I was doing some divination with these tarot cards that there are some things that I'd like to learn, and I'd like to learn them rather quickly. So what I've got here, as far as my tools, is a big-ass deck. I got the Kabbalistic Tarot and the Mystical Kabbalah. Specifically, what I wanted to learn by heart was this. I thought it would be a fantastic idea to memorize the planetary and astrological correspondences of each card. See, what you're looking at here is how each tarot card fits across the astrological wheel. Of course, in the center, you've got the zodiac signs. The next layer represents each of the cards 2 through 10 and how they line up with the particular zodiac sign. And then the outer wheel represents the planetary influence upon each one of these cards. And truly, this is where the definitions and interpretations of these cards come from. So what this wheel adds is the dates that each card rules, and also the suits of the court cards, the kings, the queens, aces, the princesses, knights. So yeah, I was in divination style meditation with my deck, and it occurred to me that it would be pretty awesome if I could memorize those particular influences. So I'm going to attempt to set up that process right now. All right. And by the way, these are two invaluable tools if you're somebody who wants to pay attention to what's happening in the sky. The moon sign book, of course, I got this recommendation from Ophiel in his correspondence class. He recommends grabbing this copy every year when it comes out, because if nothing else, it gives you a nice little database timeline of when the moon is going to be where it's going to be. So for example, today is Friday the 29th. The moon has just entered Sagittarius. Useful. And of course, the same thing with this planetary guide, except it has the influences of whatever is happening for this particular day. In any case, I now realize that I left my pen in the living room. So I think I'm gonna go get that. Bear with me. Peace and greetings. Peace, peace, J. Bald Hail. Papa Flan, peace, peace. Shrill Pickle, welcome. If this is something that you are interested in, go ahead and hit that like button. Let me go grab this pen. Hazard Pie, good morning, good to see you. Check out Lakshmi. Who recognizes that character? Oh yeah. Let's keep going. Another recommendation, if you're interested in developing psychic ability, my cousin got this book. I've been looking through it. I low-key want to do a book read on it. I was thinking of maybe doing like a week-long book read, just tackling it once a day. I think it could take maybe a week to finish this if we did like 2 chapters. But in any case, if you're interested in developing psychic ability, I would recommend checking this author out, if not just this book. Really cool. All right, let's get back to it, shall we? Back to it. All right, so how shall we start this process? I suppose maybe I'll put... I think I gotta flip the table around. Give me just a second. Give me just a second. Bang, bang. There we go. Much better. Much better. All right, so let's see here. So I'm thinking to myself that all of these planetary correspondences seem a bit, not random, but there's a lot of them. So I was thinking to myself as I was setting up this live stream, what would be an excellent way to kind of make this memorable? Peace, Alora, good to see you, always. Sunshine Chick, peace to see you. Peace and good to see you always. So we've got patterns. That's one of the key things to remember here. Specifically, what my goal is right now, as I said earlier, Society Ejects, peace, brother. Gerald Sombright, peace, peace. I believe that this will help me to interpret these cards a whole lot smoother if I memorize this particular wheel. That wheel combined with this one, because the difference with this one is that it has the aces, kings, queens, knights, and princesses. So what I want to do is set up a way for myself to kind of learn this quickly. Now, so far what I've been able to figure out and memorize is that when you look at this wheel, one of the first patterns that stands out to me is that, okay, so you've got, let's say we start at Aries, right? You've got 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So off rip, what I'm seeing is that the fixed signs, Taurus, Scorpio, Leo, Aquarius, those are the fixed signs. Right away, I notice the fixed signs are ruling over the 5, 6s, and 7s, right? So 5, 6, and 7 Taurus, 5, 6, 7 Leo, 5, 6, 7 Scorpio, 5, 6, 7 Aquarius. Actually, that's the second thing I noticed. The first thing I noticed is that the particular suit goes with the element, right? So in this case, to put those two things together, the 5, 6, 7, it's under Taurus, the fixed earth. And since it's earth, that's going to be the pentacles. So the 5, 6, and 7s of pentacles are going to be ruled by Taurus. So that means that the 5, 6, and 7 of wands is going to be ruled by Leo. So that means that the 5, 6, and 7s of cups are going to be ruled by Scorpio. 5, 5, 6, and 7 of swords are going to be ruled by Aquarius. So that's easy to memorize. Boom, right there. So if that pattern exists, then that means that there must be a pattern for the other sets, because you've got the 4 elements and you got the 3 they call them the triplicities, where it's mutable, fixed, and cardinal. Cardinal comes first. Cardinal is the initiator of the element. So in this particular case, the 2, 3, 4s, if it's going to be cardinal, I know that the 2, 3, 4s of wands are going to be fire. So what's the cardinal fire sign? Aries. So we've got 2, 3, 4 of wands, that's Aries. 2, 3, 4 of cups, that's Cancer. 2, 3, 4 of swords, that's Libra. 2, 3, 4 of pentacles, that is Capricorn. All right, boom. So right there, you can already figure out the rest of it. If the 2, 3, 4s rule the cardinal signs, if the 5, 6, 7 rules the fixed signs, then the 8, 9, 10s are going to rule the mutable signs. So 8, 9, 10 of swords, Gemini. 8, 9, 10 of pentacles, Virgo. 8, 9, 10 cups, Pisces. Who'd I miss? 8, 9, 10 of wands, Sagittarius. All right, so what I have off rip right there is that the numbers and the suits are ruled up under a specific zodiac sign. So I got that memorized. I don't even have to look at this book to know that, right? I'll ask you in the chat, did you just learn that? What rules the 5, 6, and 7 of swords? What sign rules the 5, 6, and 7 of swords? Since we know the 5, 6, 7s ruled the fixed signs. WT, peace, my brother. Elisha, eternal peace. Hazard Pie, fresh donuts out of the hot grease. Artemis in Theory, good evening. All right, Gerald Songbright says Aquarius. Absolutely, right? Absolutely. So we know that once again, we know that the 5, 6, and 7s are going to be fixed. Boom. To make it easier, right? We also know that the suit is going to be ruled by that particular element. So all the pentacles are going to be ruled by all earth signs. All the swords are going to be ruled by all air signs. All the cups are going to be ruled by all water signs. And all the wands are going to be ruled by all fire signs. So all you need to know is the number and the suit, and you can deduce what sign it rules under. Now, I've already got that memorized. I'm good to go on that part. What I want to memorize is this outer wheel. And because it's just a little bit more complex, I kind of stayed away from it. But now I realize that I need to understand this off rip. Let me tell you something. I done found the perfect combination. So I've already got this unicorn Fruity Pebbles coffee, which was dope by itself. Now I recently found Rice Krispie Treats coffee creamer, and I'm about to find out how amazing those two go together. I'm actually more excited about that. And speaking of things to be excited about, check this out. I have decided that the next intensive book study we're going to do is The Cosmic Doctrine by Dion Fortune. Right? We're not gonna start tomorrow. I'll give you guys some time to get this book. We're gonna start next weekend, next Saturday. We're just gonna go off the deep end. We're just gonna jump right in. Cosmic Doctrine. There ain't nobody else that can do this but me. So let's do it. I mean, you know, other people could do videos as they read it through, but I highly doubt they'll be able to break it down. In any case, that's your advanced alert. That's your advanced alert. All right, so where were we? Okay, so yeah, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna prop this book up so I can have this available to me. First, I'm gonna learn the planetary, then I'm going to learn. This part's gonna be easier, I'll say, because what I'm noticing here with this particular wheel is that the suit, like say if it's king, queen, or prince, the suit begins in a decan of its sign. Excuse me. It ends in a decan of its sign. So the Queen of Cups, it begins with a sword decan, but it ends into cups. I'll get to that later. First, I want to learn about this planetary aspect. So I'm gonna put this book up here so it can remain busted wide open. There we go. All right, stay open. American people. All right, it doesn't want to stay open. Come on now. Maybe if I move it down here, it'll work. A little bit better. Jeez Louise. Always something. Fuck it. Good enough. Alright, so what I'm gonna do next is I'm going to write down a list first, then I'm going to associate it with the visuals. So honestly, this is like real-time study. I didn't necessarily plan this, I kind of just was thinking about it and decided to film it. So this is me like in real time trying to figure this out. Alright, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put each suit in order. So I'm gonna start with wands. Boom, I'm gonna start with wands. We're gonna have 2, 3, 4, 5. You know what? I can just go all the way across. Yeah, I can go all the way across. All the way across. 5, 6, all the way across. 7, all the way across. 8, all the way across. 9, all the way across. 10, all the way across. Wands. Yeah. Then we'll do cups. Boom. Swords. Boom. Pentacles. Boom. Alright, looking good so far. Looking good so far. Thank you, Sunshine Chick. Thank you for my wonderful mods who keep this place regulated. Every now and then a smooth brain will slip through. Oh yeah, that's great. That's fucking great. Fruity Pebbles coffee and Rice Krispie Treats creamer. It's the little things in life Okay, so here we are. Wands. The Two of Wands. What planet rules that? That is ruled by Mars. So I'm going to draw the Mars symbol here. Two of Wands ruled by Mars. Three of Wands is ruled by the Sun. Four of Wands is ruled by Venus. Five of Wands, where you at? That's Leo. So Five of Wands is going to be ruled by Saturn. Six Wands is ruled by Jupiter. Seven of Wands, that's Mars again. And what I'm looking for is a pattern, right? I'm looking for a pattern. Because that's one thing about this occult information. It is all patterns. JD Temple, peace, peace, bro. Peace, peace. Eight of Wands, where you at? Okay, so Eight of Wands, that's going to be Sagittarius. Eight of Wands is ruled by Mercury. Get that written down. Nine of Wands is going to be ruled by the Moon. And of course, the Ten of Wands is ruled by Saturn. All right. So before I go any further, I'm going to look for... Testing, testing. Are we still here? I guess that Mercury retrograde is coming in sooner than expected. Mercury is going in retrograde in just a few more days, and we have had like 2 months without it. It's already starting to show itself. My internet has been fucked up all day. I'm surprised I've even gone this long. But here we are. All right, so like I was saying, the first thing I want to look at before I go forward, I'm looking for patterns. What I notice is that in the suit of Wands, Mars happens twice. Mars is going to rule the Two of Wands. Mars is also going to rule the Seven of Wands. Right? I also notice that Saturn is here twice. Saturn rules the Five of Wands. Saturn rules the Ten of Wands. And I'm going to pull these out. This is my study deck. Big ass deck. I mean, it's actually my cousin's. But I'm going to use it. And what I want is to get a visual here. So I've got these in order. So let's see, once we go past the 22, we've got the suit. There we go. All right. So let's put the major arcana over this way. And let's get these fire cards. All right, we're just gonna go work with 2 through 10. Funny story. So one night, we were playing Uno. I think this was like after Christmas or so. We were playing Uno, and this girl had this gigantic Uno deck. Like that's what we were playing with. The deck was huge. I think the cards were even bigger than these. And like, it was fun. We played like for hours, but those big ass cards, it was funny the entire time. Like, why do you have such big ass Uno cards? And then I thought to myself, like, yo, I wonder if they make tarot cards this big. Next day my cousin got some. So let's put this over here. Ace. All right, so here we go. The Two of Wands, and I'm looking at it. I'm getting the visual for it. I'm associating it. Mars. Mars is the energy behind this guy. Now, what I also know is that the 2, 3s, and 4s are going to be cardinal. Cardinal. So this is actually going to be Mars in Aries. So I'm looking at this card. I'm thinking to myself, this is the energy of Mars in Aries. So I'm thinking about what I know about Mars, right? And you should too. Think about what you understand about the planet Mars and its energy. And I want you to combine that with what you know about Aries and its energy. How does Aries and Mars act? That's an interesting combination. It's an interesting combination. There's a lot of fire there, isn't there? A lot of fire there. Let's go to that other Mars ruled card, right? Because I'm getting a feel for what that's like. I'm getting a feel for what that's like. then let's pull out the Seven of Wands. And this is actually one of the cards that came out during my divination. And the message that I received was, because my original idea was to draw that wheel like extremely large, and I pulled this card, and the message I got was, not this one, I got the Seven of Cups. And it was basically, make sure that what we're doing is actually going to be useful and appropriate, and not just a fun little activity that you're probably not going to finish anyway. So I thought about that, and I was like, well, damn, maybe it'll make more sense to me if I do it like this, because it's less fun and more in such a way that I'm going to absorb the information. In any case, looking at the Seven being ruled by Mars as well, right, I'm getting this. I'm kind of thinking if there's any similarities here. But before I continue, I want to remember that the 5s, 6s, and 7s are ruled by the fixed sign. So this is actually going to be Mars in Leo, right? And I'm looking over here to double check. So I'm trying to do this off the top of my head, but I want to double check just to, make sure that I'm accurate. So I got the Seven of Wands, which is Mars in Leo. So here we've got, and by the way, those are both two very fiery signs. We got Mars in Aries, Mars in Leo. Think about what Mars is to me, and then I think about what Leo represents, and I put those two together. I can see why they would put Mars in Leo as this card, right? This guy has heart. Look at all the odds against him. At no point did he consider giving up. At no point did he consider backing down. This dude is fighting 6 other people by himself. Mars in Leo. You see why this is important? Because look, what most other people do is they read somebody else's interpretation and they memorize that. I think that it's actually smarter to memorize the symbols so that you can come to your own interpretations. So now that I've looked at this and it became very clear to me, because see what I was doing before was I was going strictly off the numerology. The 7 is Netzach. This is Netzach in Atziluth. Now, of course, you can get extremely philosophical with that, and I certainly can. But I don't want this to be purely intellectual. I want this to also resonate on an astral level, which leads me to why I got this book out. If you recall, Dion Fortune in this book breaks down the meaning of these cards per Sephira. So let's start with this Two of Wands. She calls this Dominion, right? Dominion. And this is something I'll do on my own time, but if you just so happen to be somebody who is taking this study seriously and going to do it yourself, what I would do is I'd go to the end of the chapter, which is where she breaks down the card itself. And let's find out where she does that at. What an awesome book. Okay, so, whoop. Be thou still. Verse 37 in the chapter about Chokmah. What chapter? Chapter 16, verse 37. What's she say about the Two of Wands? She says, the Two of Wands, which is assigned to the element of fire, is called the Lord of Dominion. The wand is essentially a male phallic symbol and is attributed to Chokmah. So we may take this card as meaning polarization, the positive that has found its mate in the negative and is in equilibrium. There is no antagonism or resistance to the Lord of Dominion, but a contented land accepts his rule. Bina, fulfilled, accepts her mate. That sheds a lot of light on this card. Notice how homie here is fighting for his life, and notice how homie here, he's chilling. He's thinking about what else he can do. In other words, based on what Dion Fortune just said, the land, this kingdom, is his bride. The land here is Bina. He is Chokmah, right? She has accepted him completely, and he has free roam to do whatever he needs to do, whatever he desires to do, and she supports him 1,000%. We got the perfect relationship here of pure creation. That's powerful. Doesn't that really shed some light on the meaning of these cards? Like, it's not even like, if you look at other readers, it's not even about like I don't know. Fuck it. I don't care about what anybody else is doing. Like, understand what's going on here. We're breaking this down by the symbolic definition here. I love what she said there. That's cool. That's cool. So let's go forward to the 7 of Wands, which is Mars in Leo. What does she say about that? So we're gonna go, like I said, Netzach, which is the name of 7. And what does she say about that card? What does she call it? She calls the 7 of Wands Valor. Okay, does anybody know what Valor means? I know what it means, but I'm asking you if you know what it means. Valor. Okay, so she talks about that on chapter 50. It looks like, excuse me, verse 50. It looks like verse 47, she says something interesting too. Oh, that coffee is so good. Fruity Pebbles coffee with Rice Krispie Treats creamer. I don't think you understand what the hell that... Good God Almighty. I feel like this guy over here. Alright, what's she say here? They symbolize the different modes of function of the different Sephirotic forces and the 4 worlds of the Kabbalists. The suit of Wands corresponds to the spiritual level. We know this, but it's an awesome refresher. The suit of Wands refer to the spiritual level. The suit of Cups refer to the mental level. The swords represent the astral plane, and the pentacles represent the physical plane. Lock that in. Lock that in. WT says courage, honor, and stuff. Hazard Pie says honor, bravery. Okay, yeah. You get the gist. Just making sure, that's all. Peace, Jet Jaguar. Congratulations on your original Rider Waite Smith deck. Okay, let's see. So verse 50. Here's what she says about this card, right? By the way, this is Mars in Leo. That's what we're learning here. Well, that's what I'm learning. I hope that you're learning it. Verse 50. She says here, only in the sphere of the spirit does Venus come into her own. Here, her card, the 7 of Wands, is called Valor, which well describes the dynamic and vitalizing influence she exerts when her spiritual significance is understood and employed. All right, so what this card is talking about is the spiritual significance of Venus in the spiritual plane. Not Venus in the astral plane, not Venus in the mental plane, not Venus in the physical plane, Venus in the spiritual plane. She's in her own power. So what we're looking at here, that Mars and Leo energy, that heart, that courage, that bravery, that valor, it's not just blind courage and bravery. Look, we're adding dimension to this definition here. It's not just blind courage and bravery. That valor she's talking about is a superpower, right? It's realizing that you are Superman. Of course you're going to stand up to any threat. This is nothing. He's got this under control. This person has this under control. It might seem like a challenge to us over here, but the valor that's being referred to, this card means valor. This is the valor of Mars in Leo, the heart, right? Mars in the heart. This is an unstoppable force. This force is going to win. You're going to succeed. This is some Goku type stuff right here. Why? Because this is the representation of Netzach or Venus in the spiritual plane. And if nothing else prevails in the spiritual plane, love certainly does. Awesome. Awesome. So do you see what I'm doing here? Do you see how I'm like breaking down these different symbols, going deeper into them, and really trying to get a gist of what's being talked about here? And Amali says, this shit ain't nothing to me, man. Right. This is what you'll hear him say if you could tap into that scene. Dracula flow. And Amali, peace and good evening to you. This shit ain't nothing to me, man. Okay, let's keep going. Let's keep going. So that was just the 2 and the 7. And the reason I picked those is because I've noticed that the 2 ruled by Mars and the 7 ruled by Mars. Cool. And going through it like that, here's what's beautiful. Like, just looking at these pictures and thinking about everything that I just read, I'm going to remember that so much easier, right? When I look at this, I'm going to think about a king whose queen has fully accepted him, and he knows what he's going to do, and she supports him 100%. Everything that she has and everything that he has comes together to create something powerful, to create a world. Look, he's holding the world in his hands. This union that's taking place in the 2 of Wands is beyond the world, right? They're outside the world looking into the world. So of course it makes sense that what Dion Fortune say, the wands represent the spiritual plane. This ain't even happening on earth. This divine union, this divine harmony, this is between the divine masculine and the divine feminine coming together to create, and they've got the world in their hands. Karabo Lekagane says, why would he need approval or validation from the queen? I mean, who said that? I didn't say that. You said that. Maybe that's what you're projecting, but I certainly did not say that. Let's continue. So we got the 2, we got the 7. All right, so whoops. Yeah, that's the 2, the 7. So next we got the 3, the 4, the 5, the 6, the 8, the 9, the 10. Let's go through the rest. Let's go through the rest. All right, so what I also noticed after that was that there's the 5 is ruled by Saturn and the 10 is ruled by Saturn. So let's get into that. The 5 and the 10. Here's the 10. Uh-oh. You can already start to feel the Saturn vibes here. That's the 10. Let's get to the 5s. Okay. 5 and the 10 ruled by Saturn. All right, let's break it down. Let's break it down. Artemis in Theory says, tuning into your teachings just brings me to a place that feels like home. I appreciate that. That sounds really nice to hear. I'm happy to be able to provide that. All right, so we've got the 5 and the 10. Now, we remember what I said in the beginning. The 5s are ruled by what? What sign would the 5s be ruled under, specifically the 5 of Wands? Does anybody remember? And the 10s, can anybody guess what signs rule these 2 cards? I remember that 10s are going to be the mutable signs. So the 10 is going to be ruled by mutable fire. The 5 is going to be ruled by fixed fire. Now, I know that fixed fire is Leo. So here we're talking about Leo. That's going to be Saturn in Leo. Saturn in Leo right here. Interesting. We'll get back to that. But 10 of Wands. What's the mutable fire sign? What's the mutable fire sign? The mutable fire sign is Sagittarius. So we're looking at Saturn in Sagittarius. We're looking at Saturn in Leo. Now let's think about that, right? What we just talked about was, we just talked about Mars in Leo. And look at what's going on with Mars in Leo, right? The heart. But not just the heart, the valor, right? The courage of being in your power, being in your power. That's the Mars in Leo. Now let's think about what's going on with Saturn in Leo. Notice how there's still a fight. Notice the difference between these 2 fights. See, in this fight, he's in his power, standing his ground, and he's definitely going to win. So whenever, I mean, depending on your question, of course, but when you pull that 7 of Wands, that's a victory card. You're going to win. Right here, what we've got is Saturn in Leo. Now, we know about the sign of Leo, but we also know that Saturn has to do with restriction. I wonder what that's all about. Saturn and Leo. Saturn and Leo. We can go ahead and turn back to Dion Fortune and see. Now, what planet rules the number 5? For those of you who have paid attention and know about Kabbalah stuff, what Sephirah, what Kabbalistic sphere rules the number 5? So really there's like 3 elements to take into consideration here. The Kabbalistic number, which is going to be the sphere, the element, which is going to be the sign, and the planet that's behind it. Thank you, Gerald Songbright. Mars. So we got Mars. This is happening in the space of the Mars plane, but we've got Saturn within Leo. So we got to put those 3 things together. Let's figure that out, right? So the chapter Gibera. What does she call this card? She calls the 5 of Wands strife. See that? She calls it strife. Let's see what she says about the 5 of Wands. That's at the end of the chapter. What's she say about the 5 of Wands? The initiate of Gibera is a very dynamic and forceful person, but he is also a very controlled person. Interesting. Look at what she says. The 4 5s of the tarot pack are all evil cards, each according to its type. In fact, the whole suit of swords, which is under the presidency of Mars, represents contentiousness. So that's why all the swords cards are like heavy and painful. Elisha Eternal says the burner of God. There we go. Shout out to the Ladder of Lights. Somebody's listening. I love it. The burner of God. Right. Can't forget that. Now, what does she say about the 5? I'm looking for it. The burner of God. If you've got your mystical Kabbalah book, feel free to look into this because I'm still searching. Gibera is the best friend we can have if we are honest. All right, let's see where it is now. Damn, does she get into it? The last line. Gibera is the great initiator of the swollen-headed. Hard-headed. Gibera is your teacher. All right, where is this now? She gets into it earlier in the chapter. I'm still looking. Well, damn. I don't see anything about the tarot card. Interesting. Usually she talks about it in the end, but I don't see it. All that she mentions here is that the 4 5s of the tarot pack are all evil cards. Lord of Defeat. In any case, Society Eject says, oh, I just seen card number 5. They're trying to build foundation on a wasteland. Card number 10, he's building on a land that already had a foundation. All right, well, in any case, Saturn in Leo, what I'm seeing is a bunch of people who might believe that they have heart, but Saturn represents restriction and discipline. And maybe these are those who have to compete against each other to see who's got the most heart. So there's somewhat of a limitation here of who gets to shine the brightest. Well, let's see what she says about the Ten of Wands. 10 is ruled by Malkuth, so we're going to go to that chapter. Malkuth. And yeah, there we go. The 4 tarot cards. So she does talk about this particular one in chapter 25. Let's see. Yep, all right, so cool. We didn't have the first one, but we got the second one. So what does she call that card? The 10 of Wands. She calls the 10 of Wands oppression. Let's see what she says about the oppression. In these 4 tarot 10s, the same principle is seen to prevail. Each card represents the working of a certain type of spiritual force on the plane of dense matter. The most spiritual of these cards, the 10 of the suit, whose ace is said to be the root of the powers of fire, is called the Lord of Oppression. That's what we've got here, the Lord of Oppression, Saturn in Absoluth. Okay, so this teaches us that the higher spiritual forces are apt to be outwardly corrosive when operating upon the plane of matter. The powers of fire at their highest potency and the 10 of Wands are a refining fire. As gold is tried in the furnace, so the heart must be tried by pain. Okay, all right, so Saturn is, of course, the tester. Saturn is the tester. So what she's talking about here is Saturn in Sagittarius. Think about Sagittarius, and think about what you know about Saturn, and also include the fact that this is Absoluth, the burning fire of Absoluth, the holy spiritual plane, burning the material plane, the spiritual fire burning the material plane. It seems like a very painful process, but it is a burning that is removing the bullshit and exposing the gold, the diamond. This is a card of a refining fire. Interesting. Because when you think about it, whatever this guy's doing, I mean, it doesn't seem like a punishment, right? If anything, I think he's carrying those sticks so that something can be built, right? It's like he's in the middle of building something. If anything, sure, it'll be painful. He's kind of breaking a sweat, but the end result is going to be a new structure. Plus, he's going to gain some muscle from the endeavor. It's going to be something that he can be proud of, something that's going to last. This doesn't look like a punishment to me. Interesting. So let's continue. So we've got the 2s, the 5s, the 7, and the 10. That book is just too big to stay still. Hot 10-10, nice. No, I'm gonna give you 10 out of 10. All right, so yeah, cool. Let's keep going. So going on this list, I'm looking at the planetary influence. I'm looking at the card itself, and I'm linking them together, giving myself definition of what it means. Oh, that's a good point, Anamali. Anamali says each of the wands is sprouting too, little green leaves up top, so they're not just dead wands either. Good observation. Great observation. Okay, so yeah, this is how I plan on continuing this study. Let's go ahead and map out the rest of these. So as far as the cups, and again, remember, if nothing else, what you've learned so far is that the 2, 3, 4 are going to be cardinal. And when you think about cardinal signs, an easy way to remember those cardinal signs is the fact that they initiate, they begin, they start. They are the impulse of the energy. And you'll see that as you look into the cards, the 2s, 3s, and the 4s. The 5s, the 6s, and the 7s are the fixed signs. So they stabilize. They're difficult to change, difficult to move. The 8s, the 9s, and the 10s are the mutable signs. They kind of respond to what is given to them. They're also kind of like the end stage of the element transitioning into the next element. Patchwork says, is that Kabbalistic tarot you're reading from? Absolutely. Absolutely. That's the Kabbalistic tarot. Kevin Wise, peace, peace. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write down the rest of the correspondences here. So the 2, 3, and 4 of cups, I know that's going to be mutable, that's going to be cardinal water. I know that cardinal water is Cancer. So looking at Cancer, the cups, the 2 is going to be Venus. You know what? I don't think it'll hurt to add the astrological sign. So I'm going to go ahead and add Aries. I think I kind of prefer to leave it blank so I can make sure that my mind stays sharp. But for the purpose of this exercise, I'll go ahead and draw it out. Just so you can see exactly what I'm doing. And that makes it easier to recall. Mars in Aries, Sun in Aries, Venus in Aries. I'm not going to do the rest of them like that for my own sake so that I can exercise my mind in remembering. But the 2 of Cups, that's going to be Venus in Cancer. 3 of Cups is going to be Mercury in Cancer. 4 of Cups is going to be Moon in Cancer, so that's going to be a very Cancer sign. We know that Cancer is ruled by the moon. What's the 5 going to be? Okay, so I know that the 5s, the 6s, and the 7s are going to be fixed. So that's going to be fixed. Water is Scorpio. So what's the 5 of Cups? That's going to be Mars, all right? Mars and Scorpio, that should be interesting. What is the 6? The 6 is the Sun. Okay, 7, it's going to be Venus in Scorpio. And I already know that that is illusionary success. That's the card where he's in front of all those different cups with a bunch of different options in them. 8, 9, and 10 is going to be the mutable sign. What is mutable water? Well, the only water sign left, which is Pisces. So the 8 of Cups is Saturn. Saturn and Pisces, that sounds like it might be a bit painful. 9 of Cups is Jupiter in Pisces. That sounds a bit more friendly. And the 10 of Cups, interesting. Let's move to the swords. Let's move to the swords. What do we have here? So the swords, the 2, the 3, and the 4 are going to be cardinal. What is cardinal swords? Let me see if I can remember off the top of my head. Cardinal swords, cardinal air is going to be Libra. Is it Libra? Yes, Libra. Cool. All right, so the 2 is going to be ruled by the moon. Moon in Libra. What's the 3? The 3 is going to be ruled by Saturn. The 4 is going to be ruled... Oh, and just off the top as I'm writing these down, I know that Libra has to do with balance, with justice, with harmony. Saturn, I know, is a sign of discipline. So think about some very strict or disciplined harmony. Matter of fact, the 3 of Swords is the card with the heart with the 3 swords going into it. Interesting. What's 4? That's going to be Jupiter. Jupiter in Libra. All right, 5, 6, and 7. These are the fixed. Fixed air is obviously Aquarius. So the 5 of Swords in Aquarius. That's Venus in Aquarius. Okay. The 6 is going to be Mercury. Oh, bless me. It's Mercury. What else we got? 7 of Swords is the Moon. Okay, that's the fixed signs. 8, 9, and 10, that's the mutable air. Of course, I know this one. It is Gemini. So the 8 of Swords is Jupiter. 9 of Swords is ruled by Mars. 10 of Swords is ruled by the Sun. That's my particular decan. That's when I was born, with the Sun in Gemini. And just to go back, let me look and see if I see any patterns. So I see the Moon twice in the Swords deck. I see the Moon twice. Moon rules over the 2 of Swords, which is peace restored. That's the lady standing there with the 2 swords crossed. The Moon rules over her, and that kind of gives me High Priestess vibes right there. The 7 of Swords. What is the 7 of Swords? What is that one? Is that the one with the guy carrying 7 swords away? That might be it. I'll have to double check. Straight Panther, peace, peace. Josh Harris says, you need Jesus. Every time these cards have been used on anyone I know or on me. Oh, I didn't finish reading it. Somebody sliced the hell out of him. All right. 2, 3, 4, 5. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Back. And where? Okay, so yeah, they say 7 of Swords is the thief. Right. Let me see if I can finish reading that comment. Yeah. Every time these cards have been used on anyone I know or me, unless I didn't accept them, something bad happened to me. These are satanic. Hey. It is not within your karmic path to understand this science. And that's great. That's great. That's like a 3rd grader going into a 9th grade classroom. This is satanic. Evil. God bless him. All right, so that's the pattern that I see here in the Swords. I see that the Moon is in there twice. Saturn is in there twice. Saturn is the 4 of Swords and also the 8 of Swords. Interesting. 5 and 10. 4 and 8. What do we have over here? Let's see. Venus, Mercury, Moon, Mars, Sun. Okay, 2 Venuses. Saturn. Okay, so 2 Venuses and 2 Mars in the suit of cups. 2 and 7. Wait a minute. Okay, now see why this is interesting? I see another pattern here. Check this out now. The 2s and the 7s. Look at that. So on the Wands, 2 ruled by Mars, 7 ruled by Mars. Cups, 2 ruled by Venus, 7 ruled by Venus. Swords, 2 ruled by Moon, 7 ruled by Moon. Oh, and look at the 5s, right? Look at the 5s. Ruled by Saturn, 10 ruled by Saturn. Look at the 5, ruled by Mars, 10 ruled by Mars. Look at the 5. Venus. So we're switching it up here. Interesting though. Stellar Luna says that's a very diplomatic response. I get more mean when I hear them spout that stuff. Yeah, and I can too, but I understand. I understand where they're coming from. Like, they're not, sometimes they're trolling, but they're honestly doing what they feel is the best thing that they can do. It's the same thing if say you were vegan, right? You just became vegan for the first time and you've been indoctrinated that vegan is the only way. So of course, if you see people eating meat, you're gonna want to go out and try to save them from eating meat and be vegan. It's the same thing. It's a human thing to do. I get it. But that's the difference. The same way that a smart person can pretend to be dumb and a dumpier person can't pretend to be smart, a person who understands doesn't have to get mad, but a mad person can't understand the other person's perspective. All right, let's continue. So Pentacles, the Two of Pentacles. Two of Pentacles. What is the two of, okay, so the twos, the threes, and the fours, right? Just to continue with our lesson here. The twos, the threes, and the fours are ruled by cardinal earth. What's cardinal earth? Anybody? Capricorn. So the 2 is going to be Jupiter. The 3 is going to be Mars. The 4 is going to be the Sun. Listen now, see, divination is a powerful tool. It's more than just looking at a picture on a card, right? These cards are representations of specific combinations. The deeper that you understand the card, the deeper the answer you can get from these systems. If you only understand on a surface level, you can only ask surface level questions and you'll have a limited pool to draw answers from. But the deeper that you're able to understand the influences behind these particular symbols and combinations, the conversation now between you and that card, it becomes so much more rich, so much more fulfilling. Because think about it. First of all, did you even know that the tarot cards had planetary correspondences, right? First of all, you got the numerology. Second of all, you got the element. Third of all, you got the astrological sign, the zodiac sign. Then you got the planet. Then you got the 4 worlds of the Kabbalah. Then you got dates associated with them, right? Actual dates. Each of these is ruled by a date time frame, so you can ask a time frame question. Then they have correspondences with the Goetic spirits or the Shem Hamefarash angelic spirits. So like there's so many different correspondences behind a single card. Oh, and not to mention references to the Tattvas. If you know anything about the Tattvic correspondences, it goes into those too. It also goes into the tunnels of Set, the Klipoth, right? So these cards have depth. I've yet to meet anybody who's been able to work with the fullness of these cards. Like, it's more than just doing a YouTube video for folks. Like, this is really a language. This is a language that you can utilize to communicate with your subconscious mind. Yes, it is. That's why it's called divination. That's why it's called divination, because you're able to use these combinations. This is a language. This is why I'm studying this right now. This is why I'm writing this down in hopes that maybe it'll inspire you to look a little bit deeper into this right here. This is a language. The same thing with astrology, right? Anybody who says astrology is bogus, is fake, is woo, is floating rocks, and all that other shit, clearly this person doesn't understand astrology. They say that because whatever limited experiences they've had, they probably just seen other people on social media do it. So of course you're gonna say it's bullshit. But if you haven't looked into it personally, how can you say that? How can you deem anything as nonsense if you haven't studied it, right? In any case, the 5, 6, and the 7s, that's gonna be the fixed Earth. That's Taurus. So the 5 is ruled by Mercury. 6 is ruled by the Moon. 7 of Pentacles is going to be ruled by Saturn. The 8s, the 9s, and the 10s are mutable. So mutable Earth is, what is it, Virgo? Is it Virgo? Mutable Earth? Yes, it's Virgo. Mutable Earth is Virgo. That's going to be the Sun right here. What else we got? Number 9. 9 of Pentacles. Venus, and then... 9 of Pentacles. Oops, that's Venus. Straight up Venus. And then 10 is Mercury. Alright, so there, got it. Got it. Do I see any patterns here? Let's see, I see 1 Jupiter. Alright, we got 2 Mercuries, 5 and 10. 5 and 10, that's 2 Mercuries. What is the 2 of Pentacles? It's Jupiter. Interesting. Got 2 Suns, so the 4 and the 8. 4 and the 8. Alright, so I see a pattern here. I see the 4 of Swords and the 4 of Pentacles. The 8 of Swords and the 8 of Pentacles. So in the Swords, the 4 is Jupiter, the 8 is Jupiter. And the Pentacles, the 4 is the Sun, the 8 is the Sun. Alright, so I'm seeing a pattern here as well. 5 and the 10, both ruled by Mercury. And we also saw that over here with the Wands, the 5 by Saturn, the 10 by Saturn. Also in the Cups, the 5 by Mars, the 10 by Mars. Okay. Artemis in Theory asks, what sign are the Pentacles in? Still a new to the symbols. The Pentacles are Earth. Right, the Pentacles are Earth. So look, it's all split up into 4s. Wands, fire. Cups, water. Swords, air. Pentacles, earth. Pentacles, earth. So, of course, you got the 12 signs of the zodiac. They're also split into 4s. Earth signs, air signs, water signs, fire signs. But 4 times 3 makes 12. So out of those 4 elements, there's 3 types. There's the type that initiate, which is Rajas. The type that stabilizes, which is Sattva. And the type that declines, which is Tamas. So rising, which is called cardinal. There's cardinal fire, cardinal air, cardinal earth, cardinal water. There's fixed air, earth, water, fire. And then there is mutable going down. There's mutable air, fire, water, earth. And the way that these numbers line up, the 2, 3, 4, all line up with the cardinal, the igniting. The 5, 6, and 7 all line up with the fixed. The 8, 9, and 10 all line up with the decline. And so what I am memorizing is what specific planetary influence is behind each of the minor arcana. Patchwork, thank you. Patchwork says, I forgot each card had its own date attached to it. Thanks, Travis. I'm going to use this to better my own readings. Fantastic. You have this book, Patchwork, so just turn to page 51. You'll see right there the same chart, except now the dates are added to it, as well as the court cards and the aces. The court cards and the aces. Alright, so yeah, I was wanting to do a video tonight. I kind of wanted to do a tarot reading, but I didn't really feel like it. But I did want to study tarot, and I figured I'd kind of give you a glimpse at how I'm doing that. I don't usually show my studies, but it felt like this was a good time to do so. So hopefully you enjoyed the video. Hopefully you like this kind of thing. Even more so, hopefully if you are interested in tarot, this is something that you can utilize yourself to broaden your understanding of this. Oh yeah, cool beans. Cool beans. So yeah, this is what I'm going to be getting into tonight. I'm going to give myself about a week, which is plenty of time to memorize this. That way when I'm doing my card pulls, I can know immediately, okay, so this is the energy behind this card. This is the energy behind that card. I think it would drastically improve my reading style. I believe that for sure. Okay, that is that. I think that you have the Kabbalistic Tarot book. I think that you have the Mystical Kabbalah. So like, just do what I did if you're gonna continue the study on your own, where you look at the numbers. You know that the 2s line up with Chokmah, the 3s line up with Bina, the 4s line up with Chesed, the 5s line up with Gibra, the 6s line up with Tiferet, the 7s line up with Netzach, the 8s line up with Ha, the 9s line up with Yesod, the 10s line up with Malkuth. You know that. So when you're looking at the definition of these cards, just go to the chapter where she talks about the Sephirah. In the beginning of the chapter, she'll tell you the name of that card. And towards the end of that chapter, she's going to give you a brief explanation of the energy behind that card, Kabbalistically. So you just factor that in with... Oh, and by the way, shit, if you've got this book, the Kabbalistic Tarot, they describe and explain and define the planetary influences of each card. So hell, just use that. Well, not just, right? Like I'm saying, you want to cross-reference. Utilize this and utilize that. Utilize all of it. Because what you're going to find is, because if you just look at one thing, what you're doing is you're absorbing one person's definition. But if you're a true scholar and a true student, you're going to take as many different perspectives as you can about that subject so that you can come to your own conclusion. Not so you can get confused trying to take everybody else's opinion. But you got to understand, each of these people came to the conclusions they came to based on an understanding. So I want to read their conclusion so I can get to their understanding. You feel me? It's a lot like the conversation me and my cousin were having earlier today, right? Because he was talking about how awesome it is that this information, it exists not just in the physical, it exists in like libraries in the astral. Like, we've got a massive library in the astral here in this place that I live. But anyways, it's a lot like the return no, it's like A New Hope, right? In Star Wars, where all the Jedi were killed, but there always has to be at least a handful so that they can continue teaching the ways of the Force. They can't all die. There has to be one guru left. And that was taken from the Vedic system, right? According to the Vedic information, the guru can't die until he passes on his knowledge to the next person. That's why some of them live so long. But that same thing is happening here. The information is always being stored. And the reason that certain of us are called to meditate and refine ourselves and grow is not so we can manifest stuff. It's so we can reach that point of being able to access that information that's outside the five senses. Because you got to think, like I was saying earlier, Spirit knows that we're not about to sit here and read the whole Rig Veda. We're not about to sit here and break down what's Blavatsky's book called? The Secret Doctrine, right? We're not about to sit here and read The Secret Doctrine. We're not about to read the entire Book of the Dead, the Tibetan Book of the Dead, the Ethiopian Book of the Dead, the Ramayana, the Bhagavad Gita. But what we can do is come close to the understanding that the writers had when they wrote the book. Because here's the thing, before the book was written, they had to come to a level of understanding and take that understanding and condense it. Just like the unfortunate had to come to a level of understanding and then write the information down. You get what I'm saying? So for some of us who don't have a teacher, for some of us who seek this information, we can kind of find our way to the understanding through what's written. But understand, the understanding is superior to the written word. That doesn't mean you don't have to read, right? But what I'm saying is that what you're looking for isn't words in a book. The words in a book point to an understanding. That's what we're trying to get to, an understanding. So just to bring all that home, to understand these tarot cards, it does help to read what different authors have written so you can come to the understanding that they're at. Hardcore, peace. Elijah the Eternal says, definitely not secret teaching of all ages. Right. And see, this is what I was saying. Like, this is why avatars have to incarnate in every generation, because there's got to be somebody who's going to get close to the understanding, close enough that they can translate it into modern language and communicate it to people of the current time, right? Of the current time. It's very difficult to communicate this to the people of today, isn't it? Have you ever tried to have a sensible conversation about this information to somebody else in your life? It's difficult. Modern people don't give a damn about this information, but there are some who have incarnated to learn this info, and the only way for them to find it is if someone that speaks their language also speaks this language. So sometimes you're here to get this info so that you can help pass it on to somebody else who came to get it. I mean, think about it. For many of us, we wouldn't be into this info if it wasn't for Bobby Hemmett. Because Bobby Hemmett was able to take the information and speak our language, right? Same thing with Brother Panic. We would not be in this information if it wasn't for people like that, who are able to translate the information and speak it to people of today. That's a difficult task, right? It's a difficult thing to do. But it must be done because the information itself is alive. The information itself is alive. So much to say. All right. Well, in any case, I hope that you're having a fantastic evening, as I am. I love doing this. I'm so grateful for my coffee, my Fruity Pebbles coffee with the Rice Krispie Treats creamer. The Lord has blessed me with a sweet treat. Wonderful. Wonderful. All right, so yeah, like I said, This right here, these are all letters of an alphabet. This is a language. And when you understand each letter of the alphabet, you can shuffle this deck up and speak with your subconscious mind. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. This is not hocus pocus. This is an actual science, and I'm showing you what to break down so you can get it. Like, this all works together. Just like what this book teaches, tarot, Kabbalah, and astrology, they are all three pieces of this puzzle, right? These are the three infinity zones. I guess a better metaphor would be the DC boxes that was in the Justice League movie, right? These are the three boxes that you need to put together. Astrology, tarot, and Kabbalah. That's the combo right there. That's going to give you the full codex, the full Rosetta Stone to literally tap in and speak directly with your soul. I'm telling you. Matter of fact, forget what I'm telling you. Go find out if you care. Everybody don't care. It's a very small portion of people who care. But if you're one of those people in that small portion, you know what to do. You know what to do. It's not a mystery or a confusion. Y'all know what time it is? It's 2024, baby. And you already see how the energy is moving. It's moving some people out, and it's moving some people up. It's moving some people up. Understand it. We jumping into the juicy books this year, right? We just finished the initiation series. We're going to get into this. Now, this in itself is going to be heavy, right? And I'm ready for it. And I don't think we're going to stop here. I think we're going to get into some more heavy stuff after this. We about to go far. Far. So, do what needs to be done. Ain't no more lollygagging, looking around, acting, pretending to be confused. If you're somebody who watched Bobby Hemmett, I'm telling you, we are the ones he was talking about. You are the one he was talking about. So take the information and use it. All right, Patchwork. Thank you. Patchwork says, could one use the dates on the tarot to implant subconscious commands to carry out on said date, kind of like charging a sigil? Absolutely. I think that's a brilliant idea. Matter of fact, why don't you test that out? Why don't you just accept and assume that that is a possibility, not even a possibility, a definite possibility, and do it. Take your card with your date, program yourself, and then let it be. Let it be. Ardquark says some tarot decks like Duquette's or Hermetic Tarot have the astral correspondences and much more on them. Right. And that's kind of what led me to go ahead and do this. I found that I started using the Hermetic deck and the Duquette deck more and more, and I saw that I was getting lazy because I was just relying on those cards to tell me the planetary influence. So the inspiration behind this particular work right here is I don't want to have to rely on the Hermetic deck or the Duquette deck. I want to know the planetary influence behind the cards, regardless of what deck I'm holding. All right. So that is that. I always enjoy being able to communicate with you, because the communication feels like a battery that's connected, right? I get charged up when I communicate with you, and I hope that you feel the same way. And I can say that. Have you ever been in a conversation with somebody that drains you and it feels like you're wasting your time? You ever dealt with somebody that feels like the conversation between you depletes your energy? Well, I don't get that here, When I communicate with you, I feel like that I'm getting rejuvenated, that it's a cycle. That's why I should have wrapped up this video like 20 minutes ago, but I'm still yapping here. But no, I appreciate y'all. When I say that I appreciate you, when I say that I love you, I mean that, right? Because like this is meant to be, this is supposed to be, like this is a good thing that we have. So while we have it, I give my appreciation. I give my gratitude. And I'm not going to stop. As long as I am capable of doing this, I will be doing it. I will be doing it. All right. Seriously though, time to go. So I can get to this. Because the divination that I got earlier was, sure, you can do this, but I want you to actually finish it and not just try to be flashy and cool. So let me go ahead and take this energy that I have and put it to good use. Thankfully and gratefully, this the sleepiness that comes with the lunar eclipse is starting to fade away. I'm able to stay up and get some work done. Grateful for that, so I want to put that to use. Hopefully the lunar energies are treating you well. All right, enough. I will keep on talking. I'm about to be out of here. So thank you. Let's wrap it up. Wrap it up. You ever seen this card? Absolutely not. Rack bar. Rack bar. All right. So let's get out of here. HGHMZTR says, what book is that with the wheel? What book is that with the wheel? That book with the wheel is the Kabbalistic Tarot. All right, everybody. This is TK Trav, aka Travis Magus, here with LVX777. I love you. Peace.